Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Tim Sink. I'm president of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce, and it is my sincere delight to welcome you to the 100th annual meeting and Citizen of the Year dinner of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce. It's a big night for us. First order of business, we have some really wonderful sponsors, supporters of the Chamber. We are so grateful for their support. I really want to call out Merrimack County Savings Bank, our primary sponsor for this event, not for the first time. We're very, very grateful for their support. Linda Lorden and Phil are here and their entire team to help us in this celebration. So thank you very much, Merrimack County Savings Bank, for your support. We have a number of other sponsors. Dartmouth Hitchcock Concord is a corporate sponsor, as well as Eversource Energy Services, Grapponi Automotive Group, and Unitil. So we're very grateful for their support. Our wine sponsor tonight is Eastern Bank. Our dessert sponsor is Bar Harbor Bank. And I want to point out, you're going to see these cupcakes. We're calling them Centennial Cupcakes, but you may not know this, but the Hostess Cupcake Company was established in 1919, the same year the Chamber was, so that's why you're getting a cupcake for dessert. Our event sponsors, Divine Millimet, H.L. Turner, Liberty Utilities, Mason and Rich, Nathan Wexler and Company, Northeast Delta Dental, Orr and Reno, Sanel Napa, Service Credit Union, and ServPro of Concord. Our associate sponsors, Cleveland Waters and Bass and McLean Middleton. Our supporting sponsors, Concord Hospital, the NEAF Network Organizations, and in-kind sponsors, D. McLeod Inc., Grapponi Conference Center, Speedy Printing and Copy, and White Mountain Gourmet Coffee. And by the way, when you leave tonight, there are going to be some Chamber Centennial coffee packets out on the registration table. Please grab one of those on your way out there. Put together by White Mountain Coffee, and White Mountain Coffee has helped us, are helping us celebrate this event. So, one last shush this evening, because it's time for people more than important than me to speak. We are honored to have with us a good friend and outstanding community leader, our newly re-elected mayor for the city of Concord, the Honorable Jim Boulay, to welcome you this evening. Mayor Boulay.
Well, good evening, everyone. And as we like to say, welcome to another great day in the city, right? Yes. All right. So it is wonderful to be here to celebrate our 100th annual meeting, and more importantly, to celebrate our Citizen of the Year, who I cannot think of a better, more appropriate choice than Claudia Walker. So congratulations. So usually, this event usually happens after the election, pretty pumped up. I get up here, I would do a rah-rah, and I sit down. But tonight, after 7 terms, so I'm trying to be a little more classy tonight. So, if y'all join me, I think it's appropriate for a toast. So, as Tolstoy said, that's right, I'm quoting Tolstoy, everything that I understand, I only understand because I love. All of you, like me here this evening, because 100 years ago, people like us came together, in the most part, because of their love for the Concord community. So let's toast these founders, and at the same time, I pledge to work together with you to make Concord an even better community. So the best is yet to come. Salute.
Thank you, Mayor. That was very classily done. Okay. And one more. And now, just before dinner, we have another good friend of the Chamber, Jim Milliken. He's here to give the invocation this evening. Jim is a great example of volunteer leadership. He's been involved in the Chamber in many ways, both as a staff person. He had my job at one point long ago. He was chairman of the board. He's remained actively engaged. He is not a man of the cloth, but I know him as Brother James. So we're inviting Jim Milliken to give the invocation tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Let us be attentive to our Maker. Most gracious God, we come to you tonight seeking your blessing upon our greater Concord area and all those who are assembled here. For 100 years, we have furthered the aims of our chamber to promote healthy communities and healthy businesses, to support our multicultural diversity, to encourage creative enthusiasm and appreciation, to improve our educational systems, to encourage the development of new leaders, and to advocate to our elected officials seeking prosperity and harmony in this place we call home. Grant us, we pray, the willingness and ability to work together for the betterment of our common good, and implore us to continue to play our part in creating that unity and oneness in our individual lives and in our public and professional lives and our service to others. Where our efforts are in accordance to your will, bless them, that they may flourish. And where we seek our own benefit over the good of our neighbors, bend our hearts towards that which is best for all. Send now your Spirit to be present around these tables and to be known and heard by these newly selected board members, our citizens of the year, past and present, and all those who lead in our communities. Accept our thanks for the blessings we have received and for the food we're about to enjoy. Send us forth from here as ambassadors for your kingdom. This we pray in your name. Amen.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. We have one more very important piece of business before dinner is served. As many of you know, long-term chamber professional Valerie Blake is moving on towards the end of this month. I wanted to take a moment to recognize Valerie. So Valerie began her career at the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce as an office manager. Sorry. This is kind of important to me. Valerie began as office manager at the Chamber back in 1991. That's more than 28 years ago now. So think about that. Chamber's been around for 100 years. Valerie has been a key player at the Chamber for more than a quarter of that. Thank you. She was hired by then President George Hamilton. And back then, the Chamber had experienced some turmoil, and it was George's job to come in and to steady the ship and to do some rebuilding. The best decision that George made was to hire Valerie. Valerie and George were not strangers to each other. They both had a background in banking. She as a very talented and organized administrator, and he is a gregarious VP who is really good at mending fences and rebuilding relationships. It didn't take Valerie very long to realize that they had much to do in terms of straightening out the chamber, looking at the financials, cleaning up the database, training capable staff. There's a lot of work to do, and little by little, they started getting that work done. I came on the scene a year after Valerie, and although there was still a lot to be done in terms of rebuilding the chamber, much had been accomplished thanks to the good work and dedication of Valerie and George. I learned very quickly how great an asset to the chamber Valerie was and still is. We were both much younger back then. We were both old school. Her work ethic, loyalty, dedication has been absolutely crucial to the success of the chamber over these many years. Her intuition and sensitivity to the needs of people made her invaluable as both a manager and for volunteers. Her contributions to building and managing programs that meet the needs of the membership and generate non-dues revenue are substantial. I'll give you some examples. Leadership Greater Concord is, I believe, among the finest leadership development programs in the state, and Valerie has provided the staff support to this initiative for the past 24 years. Valerie conceived of and created the Pinnacle Awards Luncheon, recognizing outstanding business and nonprofit leadership each year, and it's a very hugely popular event. Valerie was part of the team that built the Tri-City Expo decades ago in partnership with the Manchester and Nashua Chambers of Commerce. She was staff liaison to the Concord Chamber, and when staff from these other organizations would come and go, Valerie was the one constant, and she really kept that program growing over many years and took a lot of the burden off of those other chambers. Valerie and former board member Paula Miner created the Business Showcase 28 years ago, providing affordable and a fun way for local businesses to showcase their products and services. In Valerie's role as vice chamber, her responsibilities and involvement spilled over into the community. She served on the board of In-Town Concord for many years and has helped maintain a strong relationship and partnership between those two organizations. She served as secretary for the Concord Historical Society since its inception. Jim Milliken, the chair, can attest to the value of that she provided that organization. She was a member of the Bow Rotary Club for many years and served as that club's secretary. It is without reservation that I can say that Valerie is leaving the chamber far better than she found it. And the last thing I can say is that she's far more than a colleague to us at the chamber. She is a true friend, and we will miss her dearly. So I would like to invite Valerie up to the podium and be recognized. You hate me. Sorry, there you go.
So that was unexpected, all of those wonderful, wonderful words from Tim. It has been amazing to be here, and thank you for your warm welcome. I truly, truly appreciate that. Claudia, congratulations on your recognition as the Chamber's Distinguished Citizen of the Year. Perfect, perfect choice and crowning achievement. I'm so happy for you and your family. Nikki, congratulations to you as our new board chair. Given the success of the Bank of New Hampshire stage this year, who knows where the chamber is going to be in 2020. I hope Tim's ready for that. And Joe, thank you so much for your leadership, your loyalty. It's been a hoot working with you this year. I truly appreciate it. Supported by an amazing board of directors and volunteers, such as yourselves, we've accomplished great things. Thank you so much for many of you are here tonight who I've sat on committees with, planned events with, did Leadership Greater Concord with, attended retreats with, and you have made Concord a better place and the community a wonderful place to live and raise a family. You should be very, very proud of that. When I first joined the chamber, it's like Tim stole my words, because it's like I was going to mention George. When I first started at the Chamber of Commerce, when George hired me those many years ago, little did I know that I'd spend the next 28 years working for the best boss, Tim, the best team, Carolyn, Kathy, Christina, Brianna, and Emily to achieve the goals of the best Chamber of Commerce in the state of New Hampshire, if not New England. We are, yeah. Here we go, Connor. Here we go, here we go. Ironically, when I first started at the Chamber, we were down on 244 North Main Street in this little yellow building, Carrigan Commons. And my first committee meeting was Space Needs, chaired by Chris Carley. And some of you were probably at that meeting with me. The deliberations and the due diligence of that committee led to the revitalization of Horseshoe Pond and this campus and this beautiful building. We were gathered here tonight to continue the business of the Chamber as we celebrate our 100th meeting, which is incredible. Thank you all very, very much. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my husband, Gene, who's here with me tonight, AKA Gino, recently retired from the city. I doubt that he's going to miss those getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get me out of the house for the early Chamber meetings, as his love and support is very precious to me. Thank you, Jenny. It's been an incredible journey. Thank you very much. It's been terrific. My pleasure and privilege to be here.
You did a great job. Valerie, it's a small token of our appreciation. I know that you like the Mountain View Grand, so little getaway, little spa activities and dinner.
We got a weekend.
Yeah. Enjoy. Thank you. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
That's right.
So enjoy dinner. We'll be back in a little while.
It is no surprise that when you look around the city of Concord and see the great successes we've had over the past 10 years plus, there's been one key ingredient, and that has been the Concord Chamber of Commerce. Every decision, every challenge that we've had, the Chamber's been there, and they've been great partners to the city of Concord.
The Chamber is a wealth of information. It has over 900 businesses, local businesses, small business, nonprofit, retail. The list goes from A to Z. It's just an amazing organization where if you want to grow your business, it's the perfect opportunity for small, medium, and large businesses for advocacy, training, and of course the networking opportunities.
We're one of 16 banks in the Concord area. So one of the ways to be able to get that exposure and get to know people here and let people know that we're here is being a part of the Chamber, doing the business after hours, the business before hours, the Tri-City Expo.
One of the best things that I found when I joined the Chamber as a small business owner, when I went on onto my own and owned my own business, is that when they announced at the business after hours that Lily's Designer Resale was a new member, people cheered. And for some reason that just made me feel so good, and it made me feel even more a part of this community that I love so much.
I can pretty much say that I might not be where I am today without my engagement through the Chamber and really through the Concord Young Professionals Network. So whether it's through the workshops or if you're going to the networking events, the big bad networking events, all of these are opportunities not just to grow if you're in business, but it's really about the relationships.
People that I would never have met if it hadn't been for the Leadership Concord program. It also helped me, one of the opportunities I had through my class was to recruit new board members. I ended up recruiting 4 members out of my class for my organization at the time, the Friends program. 2 of them became board chairs.
During the law enforcement day that the Chamber offers when you're going through the Greater Leadership of Concord, it gives the folks an opportunity to see what it's like to walk in an officer's shoes. They get to see almost like what it's like on a daily basis for law enforcement.
Every year we provide up to $5,000 in grants for teachers to carry on with various programs that is not supported by their school.
I felt that it kind of taught and also provided kind of an arena to practice leadership skills that we would then take back to our community and actually act upon. It kind of supported the idea that teenagers' thoughts and ideas and interests in the world are important, and they deserve to have the framework to take action for them and to make the positive difference in the world.
One of the wonderful things I find is working with the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce and helping bring in people to our state capital. This is the capital city. Concord helps us with our community building.
I have been with the Chamber and been part of Creative Concord from the very beginning. That convening of the entire cultural sector, plus other businesses in the community, has really built trust, and then that's led to wonderful initiatives and collaboration. I know our numbers are really showing how many more people are coming into town to take part in the cultural life of this city.
The Chamber plays a key role in everything that happens in the city, from new business recruitment, business retention, major civic projects like redoing our downtown, convincing the county and the state that we needed to keep the courthouse downtown, working with CRDC way back when there was a need for a conference center, and developing all of Horseshoe Pond. The Chamber has been a key partner in all of the progress we've seen in Concord in the last 40 years since I've lived here.
The Chamber and its employees have played a critical role in this community. They've poured their heart and soul into everything that they do to make sure that we're all receiving the resources that the local community needs to be able to grow and prosper.
As a past member of the Concord City Council, I got to see firsthand how active the Concord Chamber was in making Concord a destination city for tourists as well as business.
Happy centennial anniversary. You don't look a day over 99.
Thank you. Special shout out to Concord TV who organized that video for us, and Josh and Michael are here. And thank you to all the people that were featured in that video that said nice things about the Chamber. We appreciate it. It really helps us to build our Chamber membership, and you know, we couldn't be where we are without your support. And again, I'm just going to echo that Concord TV has been an incredible partner with the Chamber, and just super supportive to the community. So I would encourage all of you to really support Concord TV. They are very, very important in terms of providing information and connecting us, and great friends of the Chamber. So thank you, Josh, and thank you, Michael, for your support. I have had the distinct pleasure of working closely with Joe Casper for many years in various capacities at the Chamber, and most importantly this past year as chairman of the board. Joe is one of the most positive people that you will ever meet, and if you haven't had that pleasure yet of meeting Joe and getting to know him, I strongly recommend that you do. Among Joe's many contributions to the Chamber over the years, his leadership roles as chair of Capital Area Student Leadership and as chair of Leadership Greater Concord, these are two of the signature programs of the Chamber of Commerce. So very, very important. And Joe and Northeast Delta Dental have been instrumental in supporting those programs. This past year, Joe has been a tireless supporter in terms of building the Chamber membership. I won't steal Joe's thunder. He'll probably talk a little bit about where we are there. One of Joe's many talents is in the area of public speaking, and he has been one of the best MCs of the Chamber that we've ever had. You invite Joe up to the microphone to run an event, to do the MC, and he just takes off, and he loves it. And for someone who is kind of a borderline introvert like me, that I can't tell you how much of a pleasure it has been to have Joe take over that role for me and for the Chamber. So Joe, thank you so much for your leadership this past year. It has been an absolute delight working with you. I've greatly appreciated your friendship and your energy as our Centennial Board Chair. So please welcome our departing Board Chair, Joe Casper.
Thank you.
100 years old. By God, I feel pretty good. But I bet you tonight, if I asked you, how many of you out in the audience have a bucket list, the majority of you would raise your hands. A bucket list. It's that list of things you want to accomplish before you leave this earth. I've been able to check an item off of my bucket list this past year. That's being chairman of the board of the best chamber in the state of New Hampshire. Thank you. As Tim mentioned, I've been involved with the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce for over 17 years, starting with the Leadership Greater Concord class of 2003. When I was asked to join the board 9 years ago, I spoke to my bosses at Northeast Delta Dental to get their okay. And again, when Gary Miller asked me to join the executive committee as secretary. I also talked to my wife, Joanne, about my involvement on the board. Now, her first comment to me was, how much is this going to involve me? Well, my response was, look, honey, I just need to have you attend a couple of events with me, like the event tonight. And she says, okay, I'll support you as long as I only have to attend a couple of events. Now, what you might not know is my wife is a busy lady, like all of you. She's an entrepreneur, a business owner, and she is a teacher of young children, having been an early education teacher for most of her adult life. 10 years ago, she opened Little Buttercup's Nursery School in the basement of our house with one child. And today she owns a property in Ware that houses 67 children with a staff of 17 known as Ware Village Kids Academy. She had to learn all the facets of running a business, from hiring staff to learning QuickBooks and negotiation skills. And her days are long and often involve planning on the weekends. I tell you this not only because I am so proud of her and all that she's accomplished, but her story is not unlike many of you in the audience tonight. For those of you who are business owners, the days are long. They oftentimes run into weekends. And I really appreciate all that you do for the chamber. Now, I was speaking recently with one of our board members, Dara Madden, who owns Irish Electric. And he was telling me how Kathy Bacon convinced him to join the chamber over 10 years ago when his business was just starting. He started coming to business after hours, networking with fellow business folks like all of you in the audience tonight, and he took advantage of the programs that the chamber had to offer. Today, his business has grown multifold thanks to all his efforts and being in the chamber that has helped him. And you know, for the past 100 years, the chamber has been helping businesses around the Greater Concord area, just like Irish Electric, not only grow their business through seminars and networking events, but has also been an advocate for all of you, for your businesses and your collective interest in providing a voice on issues that affect your business both at the local and the state level. You know, we're fortunate to have a staff of seasoned and experienced professionals here at the chamber to help assist you in making your business all that it can be. And as the chamber has changed over this past 100 years, it has kept current in its offerings and programs to you, its members. Let me tell you a little bit about that. Christina Carlson is our communications manager. She manages all the outgoing communications for the chamber, all the newsletters and events that you hear about, but she also manages a robust website. That website is kept up to date. This past year, we had over 100,000 visits to that website. And this is a website where you can put your link on the website, and for those 100,000 people that went out and looked at that website, they could click on your link and get to your business. Brianna Marceau handled events and programs, offering dozens of seminars on a variety of topics, from QuickBooks to how to run your business to what to do if you're an LLC corporation, as well as listening to our newly elected mayor give his State of the City address. She's also responsible for the coordination of our leadership programs that Tim talked about, Leadership Greater Concord, and the Capital Area Student Leadership Program, CASTLE, which is the only program in the state of New Hampshire to offer a leadership opportunity to high school sophomores in the greater Concord area. And she also coordinated the Concord Young Professional Network, SIPN. I am so impressed with SIPN. They have done such wonderful things, and they are probably one of the largest networking organizations for young professionals in our state, and that's truly what we need to grow our businesses and our community. And of course, our newest member of the Chamber, Emily Marsh, just joined a couple of weeks ago. I had an opportunity to meet her tonight. She's a wonderful lady. We stole her from Red River Theaters. We just steal her brashly. But she's taken over many of these duties that Brianna, her recent promotion to Director of Operations and Programs with the upcoming retirement of Valerie that you've heard about earlier tonight. So she'll be helping out in that area. And of course, Kathy Bacon. Kathy travels all over the state as a membership manager recruiting new businesses to join the Chamber. Did you know that we have businesses who are Concord Chamber members from as far away as Pittsburgh into Massachusetts, and we touch both borders of our neighboring states? All thanks to Kathy. Yes, absolutely. She's been doing a great job. And then there's Carolyn O'Brien. Now, Carolyn manages the Visitor Center on 49 South Main Street in the Smile Building. It's right there in downtown. We have over 700 visitors come into that center from all over the world. And this is a place where you can put your business cards, your pamphlets, your rack cards, and people can pick those up. But if you haven't been in recently, do you know what they have there? They have a gift shop. You can go in and you can get unique gifts made in New Hampshire. Why do I tell you this? Number one is I want you to stop in and visit Carolyn and the folks over at the Chamber. But also, if you've got somebody coming into your business from another area in the country, wouldn't it be nice to give them something unique? Stop down and see her. And by the way, Christmas is only 7 weeks away. I know, I had to throw that in, I'm sorry. And, you know, as for over a quarter of a century, Tim Sink has been at the helm of this chamber and this great staff. So you've got a great staff to help grow your business. In addition to the staff that takes care of all the day-to-day chamber operations, I'd also like to thank our board members for their participation this past year, as well as their expertise. We discussed and deliberated a wide variety of issues and opportunities for your chamber. And at this time, I'd like to have all our board members stand as we recognize and thank you for your leadership and taking time out of your busy schedules to meet our meeting and event obligations. Please stand, all board members. Let's give them a round of applause. And like any organization, we have term limits. And so we have a few board members who have completed their terms on the board, and I'd like to recognize them individually tonight. Bob Carey from Warren Reno was instructor in Creative Concord, helping bring art to Main Street, street performers, and public art. Phil Emma from Merrimack County Savings Bank, who was our board secretary on the executive committee and served on several other committees. Phil Hastings from Cleveland Waters and Bass, our immediate past chair of the board and active on several committees, especially in the legislative area. And Donna Rice from Premier Properties, who was our ambassador chair and was responsible for membership recruiting. Could you four individuals stand up and be recognized, please? You know, last year when I was getting ready to step in as chairman of the board, I sat down and talked to Tim and I said, hey, Tim, how can we grow the chamber? Well, as you know, Tim runs a tight budget. We really don't have many dollars left at the end of the year. We're happy to break even, and that's to keep your cost of membership down. And he told me, look, he says, there's two ways we're going to do this. We're either going to increase the dues or we're going to increase membership. Now, neither Tim or I wanted to increase the dues, so I took a look at membership. And last year when I stood before you and I was so proud to be the chair for this 100th year of service to our community, I told you, wouldn't it be great to get 1,000 members by the time we turned 100? we were just over 900. So it was a pretty big stretch. We had our birthday last month. And so, did we reach our goal? No. We didn't get to 1,000 members. But I will tell you, tonight, as I stand here, we are close to 960 members, a growth of over 50 members this past year. This, ladies and gentlemen, has been the largest annual growth in the history of our chamber. And I'm proud to say, as I stand before you tonight as outgoing chair, that we are the largest and the best chamber in the state of New Hampshire. Even though we celebrated our 100th anniversary this year and our 100th birthday, we had a busy year with your interest in mind. Let me tell you about a couple of things that we've been doing. The I-93 expansion through Concord. You've all heard about it on the newspaper, the radio, the TV. The state developed a plan to move traffic through our capital city. However, what they didn't do is they didn't take into account the needs of our fair city, being the capital city. So your chamber worked with the city, went to the state and said, hey, we got to change this plan. And they came back with some options. We're not done yet. The plan isn't finalized. But we're at the table making sure that our capital city has access to the Merrimack River and to keep our city connected and our traffic moving. We also promoted Concord as a visitor destination for business and for vacation and pleasure. That will increase traffic to the many retail shops and restaurants in our capital city. We hosted travel writers from around the country. We invited them into Concord and they came. They checked out our capital city, and then they went back and wrote favorable articles in their publications about our city and what a great place it is to live and to work. That brought more people in. We did a blog for Concord, New Hampshire. We did targeted advertising on Facebook. And we continued to get the State House open on weekends so our visitors could come and visit the oldest working capital in our country. And you know, we were talking earlier at the table about the revitalization of Main Street a few years ago that Jim and others have led. It's been a phenomenal trip. I got to admit, I remember, as I told you last year, coming into Concord and hadn't changed in forever, and now it's a vibrant city with, you can't find a parking spot at 8 o'clock at night downtown. It's just absolutely amazing. But we've had an effort this year to get 8 new leased sculptures on Main Street to add to this revitalization and development. We also have a robust Creative Concord committee that not only helped with the art on Main Street, but they recently coordinated a mural at Arnie's Place on the Heights that not only had public participation in the design, but over 100 folks got together a month ago and actually created the mural. Now, if you haven't been up to Arnie's, swing on up Loudon Road, stop in, even though he's closed, he's going to be open for Christmas trees, I'm sure. But swing on in and take a look at that. That is really a collective artwork for our city. So we're 100 years old. What do you do when you're 100 years old? You get a birthday cake. None of us need any more birthday cake. So we decided to do a couple of different things. We updated and refreshed our logo. It's on your name tag tonight, and it's been on all our publications. We also wanted to give you a gift, and on your chair tonight is a baseball cap that has our new logo on it, and it has 100 years on the back. I want you to go out and wear those caps because people are going to ask you, what is the chamber? And you're going to be able to tell them what a great place this is and why they need to be a member. And we worked with one of our local brewers, Concord Craft Brewing, to create a special centennial beer, Capital Kolsch. Now, it's a light, crisp, German-style ale with a taste I think that will appeal to everybody. I've tried it. I think it's great. And you know, with Christmas only being 7 weeks away, you ought to buy a little. You could have it for your guest when they come to the house. and I think it is a robust beer. Give it a try. And it's something that they created for our centennial year. You know, over 80% of the businesses, maybe 85% of the businesses in New Hampshire are like Irish Electric and Ware Village Kids Academy. A lot of them are mom and pop shops that are growing, that have 20 or 30 people in them and are working hard. You're all busy, whether you're in one of those shops or whether you're working for a larger corporation. And oftentimes, you have to roll up your sleeves and pitch in to get the job done, especially in this tight labor market. Well, I want to thank you all for taking time out of those busy schedules of yours in this busy day to be here this evening as we celebrate 100 years of service to our capital city. It has been my distinct honor and privilege to be your chairman of this great organization as we celebrate our centennial year. Your participation and support in our programs and activities is not only makes this chamber not only the largest, but one of the most successful in our great state. Our future is bright, thanks to you. Thank you all very much. It's now my pleasure to introduce an individual who is intimately involved with the fabric and the business climate of our capital city. She and her team have been bringing artists and performers to the citizens of Concord for a number of years. She also took a leap of faith to open up a new venue this past year, to offer a more upbeat and creative venue to expand our offerings of artistic performances by transforming the old Concord Theater into a new, exciting venue now known as the Bank of New Hampshire Stage. If you haven't been over there, I strongly urge you to go on over and check out a performance in that exciting new venue. Would you please welcome the Executive Director of the Capitol Center of the Arts and your 2019-2020 Executive Board Chair for Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce, Nikki Clark.
Thank you. Don't go away. Okay,
All right.
Stay right here. All right. Thank you, Joe, for your introduction, and thank you for your service as chair. As you told us last year, you were going to grow the membership, and you did. Yay! And I'm really looking forward to, building on your good work and your cheerful leadership. Tim is right. He is the most cheerful guy you've ever wanted to have in a meeting. And I was a cheerleader, but I swear he would have made a good one, right? Back in the day. Anyway, we want to thank you, and we have a small gift for you, so hold on.
All right.
It's actually not so small. Isn't that beautiful? All right, a lovely clock with a donation. So thank you, Joe, for all your hard work.
Let's get a picture.
All right, we'll get a picture. All right, picture. Smile. Oh, gotta move this way. All right. Great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Well, all right. So Joe and I go back because I hired his son, and he worked for us as a production manager at the Capitol Center for several years, and now he's got a great career in New York City, so woohoo. All right. I am truly honored. Okay, we got to do some tech work here for next year. There we go. All right. I'm really honored to be your chair and thank the board for allowing me to serve Concord in this capacity. I've been part of the Concord community for over 13 years. When I arrived, they were putting the final touches on the Capitol Commons building, and Rev River Theaters was just being born. So, okay, that's the time span here. And think about it, so much has happened since then. It is really hard to remember that, a decade plus 3, that we had something we called Main Street, which was actually, in my mind, a 4-lane raceway that nobody really wanted to stop until they got through the other end. That pedestrians were rare endangered species, and when the sun went down, downtown went dark, and except for a few signs of nightlife. And look at us now. Look at us now. We have a Main Street that is beautifully landscaped, pedestrians abound, You can't find a parking space sometimes, but that's okay. This is good. And I can testify, and there are vibrant shops and restaurants, and I can testify personally that there is nightlife bustling after 11 p.m. in this community now. And there are wonderful bright lights because of Hotel Concord and the Bank of New Hampshire stage. All right? So life has truly changed in this community. And every person in this room has been part of this renaissance, from the mayor right down to every young person that's here tonight that's part of SIPN who's going, okay, so what's going on here? And truly, we could spend a lot of time talking about that, but I won't. What I do want to say is tonight my focus is the Concord Chamber. And I had a long career before I got to Concord, and this is a magical, wonderful city. It truly, truly is. And I feel totally blessed to have found myself here. And I will swear, I just have to say, thank John Swope, because I wouldn't be here without him. And this chamber, to me, is vital and plays a critical role for 3 reasons. One, it keeps the business community connected to each other through the myriad of programs, all those networking things, SIPN, business hours, after hours, before hours, member briefings, connections at 7:30 in the morning that I participate in. All of these relationships do build that trust that creates that magical space where new ideas and projects can be born and flourish. We really, really, that is huge. It is also inclusive. Businesses large and small, our members and nonprofits are treated and participate as equal partners. And I can tell you from my journey in my professional life, that is not true in other places. And that has also been a critical component to our success here. And it really values, this organization really values working for the greater good and acts accordingly. This chamber does not sit still. The board and the committees are always looking for ways to make an impact in promotion and service to the business community. The chamber also perseveres on long-term projects. And as just one example, I point out the work of Creative Concord. When that committee started, there were 6 to 8 to 10 of us that would get together on a monthly basis and start these conversations about what would make a difference. How could we really infuse these amazing creative assets that we have? And now we have 35 to 40 people who literally don't fit in the room anymore that are participating to keep going on all the projects that have grown out of this work. It is truly remarkable. So as we look to the year ahead, the Chamber will keep on going with its many networking, education, and promotional services. Additionally, you're going to see 3 other priorities of the Chamber Board tackling these things. We're going to explore the creation of a regional destination marketing organization, better known to some people as convention and visitors bureaus. We don't have one in Concord, and we don't have one in New Hampshire, so it's time. And we're looking to be able to, and as someone like me who runs an organization that welcomes over 80,000 people to the downtown, of which 30,000 come from an hour away, I think Concord is really ready to take this step and to build this stronger meeting and event sector to boost visitor spending. We just need to invest and create an infrastructure and platform to nurture it. So the board's really going to work on that this year. Secondly, this goes hand in hand with our current efforts, and we've touched upon these, and Joe touched upon them, of all the work that we're doing to grow the creative economy in our region. And thirdly, we are not going to forget what's going on with DOT, and we're going to work with the city to ensure that the redesign of I-93 that goes through Concord has a positive impact on our community with improved river access, improving the image of the city from the highway, and creating those opportunities for positive development in multiple city gateways. This is really important. So joining us on this journey this year are 5 new board members, and they are Tenley Callahan, attorney at Cleveland Waters and Bass, and I did see her tonight over there. Angie Lane, executive director of Red River Theaters, who I know is over there. Dr. Gretchen Mullins-Sawicki, president of NHGI, Concord's Community College. Are you here? Not yet. All right. And Michael Palmieri, president and CEO of Havenwoods Heritage Heights. Yes, applause to him. And Jamie Simchek, owner of Hotel Concord and managing the day-to-day operations there. So we're very excited that all 5 of these people have joined us. It's going to be a busy year. I really look forward to working with the board this year, and I thank you very much for your support. And I am now going to turn the microphone over to Phil Hastings from Cleveland Waters and Baths, who's here for the grand finale of this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. As someone who has known Claudia Walker as a friend and fellow board member for almost 30 years, it's truly an honor to introduce this year's Distinguished Citizen of the Year. A leader with the highest level of integrity and compassion, a citizen who has been actively and wholeheartedly involved in our community for more than 35 years, unrelenting energy and commitment, unflagging geniality, I think that might be the southern roots, and goodwill, a delightful sense of humor that disarms and unites people during difficult discussions. These are just some of the words used by friends and colleagues to describe this year's recipient of the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce's highest honor, the Distinguished Citizen of the Year. New Hampshire Mutual Bancorp Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer Phil Emma was one of several who nominated Claudia Walker for this recognition, saying, quote, "Claudia has always been a leader in so many civic activities with the highest level of integrity and compassion. Claudia's work as a founder of the Concord Hospital Rock and Race is only one of her activities focused on our community," end quote. In fact, Claudia co-chaired the Rock and Race for 11 years, raising more than $5 million in the fight against cancer. Pamela Pulio, Chief Advancement Officer at the hospital, agrees. Quote, "Claudia served on the Concord Hospital Board of Trustees for 12 years and is currently past board chair of the Concord Hospital Trust. Her efforts directly affected thousands of people with cancer through access to needed support programs and services," end quote. A positive outlook and a great sense of humor are characteristics commonly used to describe this year's recipient. Chamber of Commerce President Tim Sink recalls Claudia's service on the Chamber Board of Directors. He said, "Claudia has a unique ability to unite people and to de-escalate emotions during particularly difficult discussions through the use of good humor, honesty, and kindness. I have seen her exercise the talent at Chamber Board meetings, on various committees, and in her role as a member of the City Planning Board. She is a wonderful and thoughtful consensus builder." Fellow volunteer and past Citizen of the Year recipient Mark Sabrowski stated, quote, "I see Claudia Walker at countless community events. She is among the most positive people I know and has contributed enormously to make Concord a better community. Claudia embodies all the qualities that make her an excellent choice for this award," unquote. Assisting our homeless population to become independent members of our community has always been a passion for Claudia. Ellen Groh, Executive Director of the Concord Coalition to End Homelessness, had this to say, quote, "Claudia has served on the City of Concord Steering Committee for the Plan to End Homelessness since its inception in 2014. When CCEH was constructing the emergency winter shelter, she helped us solicit the needed funds through the sale of business tax credits. She served as honorary chair of our Superfest fundraising event, and she contributed personally as well." We can go on and on. We also have a letter from Congresswoman Ann McLean Custer. "Dear Claudia, It is my pleasure to congratulate you on being named the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce's Citizen of the Year. Over many years, you have been an active and respected member of our community, giving back in a variety of ways, whether it is your work as the founder of Concord Hospital's Rockin' Road Race to benefit the Payson Center, serving in the City of Concord Steering Committee for the Plan to End Homelessness, Concord Community Music School, and as board of the chair of the Concord Hospital Trust. You have ensured a legacy of civic engagement in the capital region. I commend you for your commitment in the Concord community, and I'm honored to congratulate you on receiving the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce's distinction. On behalf of my constituents across New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District, thank you again for all you do to make our community such an incredibly special place to live, work, and raise a family. Our honoree tonight has contributed unselfishly with time, talent, and treasure over many years, and continues, and we hope will continue, to be a force for good in our community. For these and many other reasons, the Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce is proud to recognize Claudia Walker as the 2019 Outstanding Citizen of the Year.
All right. This is pitiful. Please. I can do this. I can do this. I, too, was a cheerleader. Go figure. I got to tell you, I sat at home today and stared at a yellow piece of paper with nothing on it. I was still staring at it when Scott, my husband, arrived with my sister and brother who were coming from Memphis to honor me tonight. And I knew one thing for certain. I can write anything I want on that damn piece of paper, but I'm not going to be able to see it. I predicted that correctly, so it's sitting on the table. They did help me put a few words on it. I probably won't say anything that I thought I was going to say. But I'm going to take a deep breath and tell you, my mother always said, if someone gives you a compliment, don't tell them, oh, I don't deserve this, or oh, this doesn't look that good, or oh, this old thing. Tell them thank you. Tell them thank you very much, and I thank you very much. You just have no idea, maybe you're getting one, of how thrilled I am to receive this award. I'm also so thrilled to look across this room, to see my family, my extended family. I got to tell you, and I got to point out some of who they are. I have all the Walker family, and one of my best friends on earth, Nancy and Bill Morrison, that I met when I first came to town at this table, my brother, my sister. I have my extended family because I'm just going how I see them. I have grandparents of my grandchildren sitting over there. And then I got this really special table over here, nieces, nephews, and this family is continually growing, fiancés, and Paul Maggiato, and his wife, Laurie. This is a very special table right here. And I'm not the first person to get an award in this family, in the boys' family contingency. The table where the youngest members of the chamber are sitting, you might notice. My son, Denny, you may not have known this, but he was the Kiwanis Queen. I mean, not Queen. Kiwanis. He was the Kiwanis Fair King. He literally, and kids, listen to this, your father rode down the street in a convertible, waving to the public. John Boyes, he's already started his life in philanthropy because he gave some of his beautiful artwork for years to the Friends program for their art auction, and I would always go to be sure that someone was bidding on his work. I had a hard time buying any of it. And I am told he has an award in Concord too that I haven't seen. It's in Panucci's SIP, and maybe you can check it out. John Boyce got an award for outstanding continual attendance. And it's up on the wall. So I want to tell you how delighted I am to have my sons here, how delighted I am to have my gorgeous daughters-in-law, Kim and Sarah, both Concord area girls. And also, can you just stand up? Anybody that calls me Granny Claude, would you mind standing up? Would you? Oh, look at that crowd. Look at that. Tonight I'm going to teach you a lesson about what not to do when you stand at a microphone. Okay, I didn't write any of that today. They've told you what I've done, but you know I'm not getting this award because of something that I did alone. I'm accepting this award for hundreds of people, thousands of people. Think how many people it took to make the Rockin' Race the success that it was. It was not the co-chairman. It was not the committee, although they did a wonderful job. It was not just the wonderful staff at the Concord Hospital. It was thousands of people. There were 6,000 people for years at that event. And that's not something I did by myself. I'll tell you how I got here. I too, it's because of a guy named John, and this is really personal. John Vukels. If it weren't for John Vukels, I wouldn't be here. John Vukels introduced me to my first husband, and he moved me from Memphis, Tennessee to Augusta, Maine in 1970. I took a few moves to get here, but when I landed in Concord, it did not take long for me to realize that I had really found a permanent home. The real estate agent told us, don't worry about the small yard. This is a very nice neighborhood. You're going to have wonderful neighbors. The kids play in the street. So I wanted the house, so I said, oh, it doesn't matter so much if the kids play in the street. We moved in. The van was still there, and lo and behold, the kids were out in the street. So what happens if kids are out in the street? They're not out in the street anymore these days, are they, Tucker? They're on their screens. But these kids were out in the street, so the parents came out in the street. I found out that we had moved to a wonderful neighborhood with people that did all sorts of community service, and it wasn't very long before I was out in the street. I was out in the street with my neighbor Nancy Marsh, and we're running all over Concord, and she's saying to me, you really should go to the Snowflake Ball and support the Y. You really should go to the Concord Hospital Gala and support the Concord Hospital. I thought, okay, maybe I really should get involved with some of these things. The first thing that I got involved with, the very first community service group that I joined, was when Steeplegate Mall was coming to town. So some of these people are not going to remember this, but Steeplegate Mall was coming to town. It was going to be developed, and it was posing a threat to the downtown, the vitality of downtown, to the stores. I had my mother and father visiting. They had always been very active in their community in Memphis. And it came on the news, an interview with the owners of Solomon's department store, the Weisbarts, and they were being interviewed, and they were talking about, we don't want to block the mall, but we want to be standing when the mall is completed. We want to thrive. We want downtown to thrive, and we need to do something about that. Now, my mother really wanted Solomon's to thrive because she loved going there when she came up here to visit. And she looked at me and she said, you've got to go to that meeting they're talking about. You've got to get up in the morning and go to that meeting, and you've got to volunteer to help. So I went to the meeting the next day. It was something called the Land and the Sea, and I'm not sure what's in the Land and the Sea now, but it was a restaurant called the Land and the Sea. There are a lot of people that are still running stores downtown at that meeting. I was one of the few non-retailers that had showed up to volunteer, but we were all sitting around. We thought everybody was there, and the door opened. Who do you think walked in? Grace Walker. Did anybody remember Grace Walker here? Grace Walker was a force of nature. She happened to become my mother-in-law. She was someone who gave 12 years, I think, of her life to the city council. She was very generous with her opinion on how things were done. She was so generous. Is Thomas Bell still here? What kind of a tie do you have on today, Tom? Grace Walker would call Thomas Bell after the after the planning board or the council meetings were on television and tell him, "Good job last night, but never wear that tie again." She walked into the room, she sat down, and she said, "I think this is something we should do. And I want to join this committee, but I will only stay on this committee if you don't just sit around and drink coffee." This was my first tutorial from Grace Walker about how to be an active participant in doing things for the community in Concord. My mother and my mother-in-law-to-be didn't know that at the time. You've heard, and I won't go through all the list of the things that I was able to get involved with, but I got involved with them because people opened the door to me. I said I would do this. It became DCI, Downtown Concord East. It morphed into Main Street Concord, yes. But the door's open. Just because I said I want to help, the door's open. I made the mistake of meeting Pamela Palaio. Can you imagine? If you don't want to work in the city of Concord for the greater good, don't hang around with Pamela Palaio. I've had such a wonderful time working with Concord Hospital. The Rock and Race truly is one of the best things that I've ever been involved in. And I can tell you that there's no greater feeling. I have the memory of it because I was one of the co-chairs for 12 years. There's no greater feeling than how I felt standing on that State House Plaza, watching the tents go up, watching all of my nieces and nephews, everybody in the Walker family coming in to help, watching my employer being the main sponsor for so many years, and then seeing that kickoff of all of those people that were there. Sometimes they were there because they appreciated that it was for the Payson Cancer Center. Sometimes they were there particularly for somebody in their family that was suffering from cancer. But there was nothing like it. New Hampshire distributors driving up on the lawn, bringing hundreds of bottles of water. All of our major restaurants sending food to be served to the people. All of my colleagues at the bank out there working. Nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's very selfish to get an award for doing something that's so much fun. So I think that I had no idea how I was going to close this acceptance. I really do think that I want to dedicate it, but I'm going to be a mess again. There were two couples that I want to talk about right now. The kids' grandparents, John and Virginia Vukels, and the Walker kids' grandparents, Don and Grace Walker. They were absolutely, my mother and my mother-in-law were absolutely in every single kind of imaginable philanthropic event. They served on committees. They worked tirelessly. They were great stewards of their communities. And my father and my father-in-law were two of the nicest people that you could, they were almost identical people. They were the nicest people you could ever met. They were there to help anybody. Don was at the boys' club all the time. My father loved every person he ever met and had the most wonderful sense of humor and was such a gentleman. And I just know that the one thing that they really had in common that made them just identical to me was the pride that they had in their families. No two couples were as proud of their children as these two couples were. Grace would come to a chamber event and she would line up. She'd get Leslie and Donna and me and say, "Hey, there's the photographer. Take a picture of my girls." You know, my father would come to Concord and he would go downtown and go in all the stores and say, "Do you by any chance know my daughter Claudia?" And let me tell you what, with my habits, most of them did. So I couldn't have done this without the support of Merrimack County Savings Bank, my employer. I couldn't have done this without the support of my family. But what I really want to do is say tonight, we called Grace Mimi, we called Don Papa, we called my mother Bongo, we called my father Pomps. So Mimi and Papa, Bongo and Pomps, this one's for you. Thank you.
This concludes the 100th anniversary. I don't have anything more to say. Thank you all so much for being here.